Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Riverfront. And tonight is our last episode of 2024. I'm Tim Daniel. He's Seth Shanner. We have a really special guest coming up. And Seth, I had to end the year on a high note because the Reds have not done anything. So I had to make a show, our finale of the year, talking some baseball cards.
Well, you and I talked about this, and I was really happy about the topic. And really, our love of the Reds, I mean, honestly, as I grew up, it kind of goes hand in hand with baseball cards. So it's certainly, I think, especially when I grew up, I'm a little older than you, growing up in the 80s and early 90s without cable, baseball cards taught me a lot about the game with stats and things like that, and learning about what was important maybe and what I thought was important and those kind of things. I look forward to sharing some of the stories.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to show off a little bit of our collection in the process as well tonight, to kind of just talk about different things. We're figuring out the mirroring of our cameras to how we can show them and they're visible, but we'll also describe them as well. But we're also going to be talking a little shop with our special guest who owns a card shop in the Cincinnati area. You should please go check out Liquid Sports Cards on all social media apps and as well the stand-up shop itself. This is the owner of Liquid Sports Cards, LLC. This is Jake Baker. Jake, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Hey, thank you for having me on.
I'm really excited. I've been following you since you started putting the idea of the shop together on social media. We met, I think, through following some mutual accounts together, Cincinnati Sports probably. But I reached out to you because I used to work at a local card shop. I saw that you were kind of coming up, and I'm always here for the little guy who's punching up. And I'm very excited to have you on, man. So thanks for hanging out with us.
It's exciting, and to hear the theme music from this side instead of just being a listener is exciting already. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate that, man. So before we get started, tell us a little bit about Jake. Tell us a little about Liquid Sports Cards, how it came together, and we'll have some fun.
Well, yeah, thanks again for having me on. I'm a sports card shop up in Sharonville, Ohio. I'm right off the highway on Sharon Road and 75. And I opened this shop for the 12-year-old me who was collecting cards in the late 90s. And just like you mentioned, Seth, growing up in the 90s, the computers were still pretty new in the computer room, but that back of the baseball card was everything. And the football cards and the ability to collect them and trade with friends. I have 3 brothers, so, I had built-in trade partners. The older brother kind of got to call the shots for the most part. He was a little bit older than us, and man, it's been 3.5 months open and an absolute dream come true.
Yeah, man, it's been really cool. I haven't had a chance to swing by yet, but I know, like I said, we've talked. You a couple months ago did a nice thing where you said if anyone comes in and mentions late night Reds that you'll give them a free pack, and that made me feel really good. That was like, oh, yeah. Cool, yeah. So, and now, of course, we are doing a giveaway. Jake has been kind enough to say that he will do a donation of a blaster of 2024 Topps Series 1 for your chance to pull an Elly De La Cruz rookie card.
That's right.
And all you have to do is go to follow his Twitter accounts at Liquid. Is it Liquid 513? Is it? Did I have that right?
Liquid Cards 513.
Liquid Cards 513. Tell him, follow the account and tell him the Riverfront sent you to have a chance to win that blaster. So I actually just ripped one of those recently. Series 1 always gets me excited because it's the start of the year. It's a annoying product at some point because there's so much paper product in it. But after a bit, when you kind of get those nice Elly De La Cruzes and those Matt McLeans, you feel you really start to love it. And it's like I said, it's the start of the new card year. So I really love when I get to it, but then I get sick of it after I pull like 2 boxes.
Yeah.
Jake, I want to ask you something before we dive in. So you mentioned Series 1 there. When that came out, that was Topps got bought, and everything's a little different going forward. Yeah. That Series 1, I found it like I had doubles like crazy. Like,
yeah,
my original thing with collecting cards was building sets. It was kind of like my ADD, like just sorting them and putting them in order and all that. And I still like to do that. So I remember having as taller stack of doubles than I did the actual set after 3 or 4 of those blaster boxes. I don't know. I didn't have the problem with Series 2 that I did with Series 1. It was a weird time.
Yeah, it's sometimes just the coalition can be brutal. I did see there people had the unfortunate luck of getting 47 Nolan Arenado cards in
Ooh,
one
gross.
uh, holiday box from Fanatics slash Tops.
Yeah.
So there can be worse fates, but in the planning for the future, I hope that Tops um, nails that process down because nobody wants to be dealing with that. And yeah, there are a lot. The baseball collecting hobby was built on set collecting.
Mhm.
So to force people to open up many more boxes than they need to is not ideal.
Well, and we'll get into a little bit of my history with it, but I kind of stopped collecting for a while back around the time they put inserts into packs for the first time. I remember when they switched Donruss to making the Diamond King be an insert, and that was kind of how that all started. All of a sudden, a full set was worth less than a wax box, and that kind of flipped the industry on its head a little bit. But that's neither here nor there. That was just kind of my history. Of course, I started liking girls and hoping to drive a car and things like that too. So I kind of stopped collecting for a few years, but now I'm knee deep in it again.
Yeah.
Well, Seth, also the fact that we can now get college football cards. I'm sure. Are you diving after the Ohio States and the Bowman U's and the?
I got to tell you, I haven't too much yet, and I was really upset a little bit. The Tops Now this year did not include any Ohio State players, and I'm a big Ohio State guy. And last year they did. Last year, when Ohio State won in South Bend, there was an Emeka Ibuka card with. I had to put
You just
that.
had to bring that one up, didn't you? You can
But,
mention any other of their 12 wins last year. You bring that one up.
but this year there were any Ohio State cards, even with Jeremiah Smith going crazy. They must not have had the contract
Yeah.
with the NIL. But regardless of that, no, it is cool. Actually, I was diving into some stuff and I came up with some old Tops football, and that's Troy Smith. I got Smith, Ginn, Antonio Pittman, and Anthony Gonzalez from that year. But it was always after they were done with school, as you know. So
Right.
it's pretty cool to be able to collect them now while they're still in school.
So, Jake, for you, like you mentioned, you kind of opened the shop for the 12-year-old, the preteen who's really in love with it. Who, I'm also a kid of the 90s. So I also have an extensive amount of Ken Griffey Jr. cards that aren't worth anything, but it's Ken
Yeah.
Griffey Jr., so I kept them all. So for you, who was like your guy? You mentioned obviously your brothers and things like that. I have that same card. I have a great story about that card. I mean, everyone has that card, right? It's like if the Michael Jordan 84 Fleer determines the market as far as what things are going for, the Ken Griffey Jr. rookie upper deck probably decreases the market in the same extent, and not in a bad way because it's an iconic card. But they made like 40 million of them. I saw a PSA 8 the other day for $22 on eBay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, painful. But was that kind of who was like your particular? Was there a PC guy that really you were like, I want to get all the cards I can of this guy, and this is how you got into it?
So I loved cards, probably from the moment I started opening them. And what got me back into the hobby in 2020 was, we all went down to our basements or
Mhm.
garages and started digging into things. And one of the bins I happened to come across, my mom had given me just a couple months prior, and it had my old binder. And man, I dove back in head first. Um, the first page was Corey Dillon rookie cards. He was first, and then it was Eddie George. My first two, and then unfortunately it was Achilles Smith, and I can only imagine how wrecked I would have been if Achilles Smith was drafted while I was collecting as an adult with adult money. But it then trailed on to some different PC people. Kerry Collins was my big non-Bengals PC. I felt like in the '90s we all kind of had an NFC team to root on
True.
because that AFC season for the Bengals was rough usually. So big Kerry Collins collection. and I would say I'm more of a baseball guy. But for some reason, I think the Bengals just, captured my attention a little bit more. Um, I was listening to the last episode, you guys talking about having, Greg Vaughn come onto the team. That '99 squad was special, and I have a lot of cards from the '90s, a lot of Barry Larkin, uh,
Yeah.
King Griffey Jr. I wish I would have collected more of the guys that are worth something now. It would have been nice to have some Kobe Bryant cards or Michael Jordan cards. But I didn't root for those guys. I rooted for our teams, and for some reason, Kerry Collins. And then in the NBA, it was Jason Kidd. Um, I liked him a lot. And then when he went to the Nets, and Kenya Martin went there, that was my NBA team. Didn't collect too much NBA, but yeah, it was just the connection with sports and being able to trade with friends and brothers, and I wrote down the box scores for every game that the Reds played in, in the driveway, and it was just another part of it, and I getting to do it now. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I was just at the Reds Hall of Fame on Saturday, and there's a section on the top floor where they actually have all the team sets that you can just go through over the years,
Oh,
and
nice.
they had the '99 Oscar Mayer team giveaway set, and then
Yep.
they're king, and like that's one where I wish I still had it because like all of us Reds fans, we love that team so near and dear. Uh,
Mhm.
but
The
yeah, so
con the con sets are so cool. Like, I just
yeah,
iconic. I had a gentleman bring in an '87 Barry Larkin. It was the last one he needed to complete his cons team set. It was just so neat.
yeah, it's the best, man. Especially when you saw Griffey on this and you were like, that was kind of like a game changer. Like we talk about that all the time, just the trade in general. But I talk about the moment when he got traded. I came home, I turned on Sports Center, and his picture's in the corner, and he's got the Reds hat on. Do you remember in 2000 when you ripped Topps cards for the first time? You saw Ken Griffey Jr. in a Reds jersey on a baseball card.
Yeah.
Just how, like, for us, we're all younger, and I was 10 when the trade happened. Like, I have his first Topps Reds card, and it's something I hold near and dear to my heart.
Yep. That was special.
Yeah, it's my favorite. So let's go around a little bit and kind of talk about. So Seth, Jake kind of mentioned how he kind of got into it, got him back out. You've kind of hinted at a few different things. What was kind of your first jump into the card biz for you?
Yeah, I've told this a few times on a few of the other shows, but I'll get through it. We would go to church. I grew up in Southeast Ohio, almost middle of nowhere. Our nearest neighbor was about a half mile away from our house, so not much around us. But we would go to church in a little town, and at the bottom of the hill from the church was kind of like a I don't know, like it was a gas station, but it had more of a convenience store vibe to the store. And for some reason, I got my dollar allowance or whatever, and I went down the hill. And one day, it feels like it was probably spring of '87. I see not the full size Topps cards, but the Topps leaders, the league leaders were the mini cards. But that year, they were the exact same wood grain around the outside. And I bought a pack. It was like 40 cents, whatever it was. Bought the pack of cards, got a Dave Parker Reds card. I already knew at that point Eric Davis was my favorite player, but hey, I got a Reds player in this card in this pack. And that's when it started for me. And again, sorting cards, all that stuff. I was thinking about too, like I have this Rob Dibble. So Rob Dibble was at the Athens Mall, Athens, Ohio, where Ohio University is. He was at the mall there.
Bro.
And he was signing cards, and I'm in line, and this is the '89, so that would have been probably the summer of '89, or maybe All-Star break, or maybe it was the next year, maybe it was sometime between '89 and '90. But I knew I liked Rob Dibble a lot, so I go. My parents take me. We go, and I stand in line. I think I'm going to get Rob Dibble's autograph. I've got my card; it's all ready. And I noticed all these kids were like they were nervous or bashful or whatever, not really handing him the card or whatever. And then he'd try to get their name because he'd write their name on it. And by the time I got up there, I was like, I'm going to get this right away. I'm going to say, to Seth, that's what I want you to write. And he had an agent or somebody sitting beside him. And I shoved it across the table and I was like, like that. And like I was waiting on a soup Nazi or something. And and all of a sudden, him and his agent just start laughing. And I was so embarrassed. And I was like, oh my goodness, Rob Dibble just made fun of me. But another time, the following year, well, so in '91, I go to a card show up in near Zanesville, Ohio, and Pete Rose Jr.'s there.
All right, look at that card.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
And he
man.
put the date he signed. It's like 1/18/91. Pete Rose the second is what he put on there. So that was pretty funny. But yeah, so basically from then through that time, I was collecting cards like crazy. Eric Davis, of course, my favorite. You were mentioning you wished you had guys that were worth more. I came out of this, really, it wasn't any different, but we all had guys we collected. Mine was Eric Davis. We had a Bo Jackson guy. We had a Jose Canseco guy. We had a Mark McGuire guy. And then Griffey was kind of already after we'd already kind of established who our guy was. So then Griffey was just like, if you get a Griffey, nobody's getting it, right?
Yeah.
So this card, and that's got the homage, that's from this card shop, or that's from the t-shirt store. But that's my favorite all-time card, the 87 Eric Davis.
Nice.
All right. Anyway, so I tried to get it in packs. We're talking about bad luck with packs, right? I must have bought what I thought was 100 packs of 87 tops, and I never got an Eric Davis. And that's the year, okay? 87 was the year he was on fire. So my mom and dad, we came to Columbus, I think, to help a relative or something like that. And my mom takes me to Hartman's Sports Cards on Morse Road here in Columbus. We go in there. I buy the Eric Davis because I was like, I can't get it in a pack. I'm just going to have to buy it. So I bought that day. And certainly, I love that card. I've got probably 50 of them now. But yeah, so that was that. And then Hartman's came into play later because I quit collecting cards, as I mentioned, a little bit around the 92, 93, around in that time. You were talking about Jason Kidd. Actually, in 94, 95, my buddy and I would go over to the local card shop in our little town, and we started buying Top Stadium Club, and Fleer had a set of 94, 95 basketball, and we were getting as many Jason Kidds and Grant Hills as we could get.
Yeah.
And I built those sets. I bought all those and built the sets. I was more into basketball at that point, and I was thinking, Tim, I'm going to have to go looking for some. I don't have any Deion Sanders as a red.
I have plenty if you need
Well, I
some.
know you do, and I've got some Penny Hardaways you might not have, so maybe we'll trade next time we see each other. But that's a gap for me. All right, and then you fast forward. I'm engaged to be married in 2004, and I was a sports writer, and we would have lunchtime where a bunch of us would finish our deadlines, and we'd go to lunch. And then we'd say, well, why don't we go to Hartman's, which is the same card shop I went to when I was 8 years old. So we go to Hartman's, and they're saying, okay, they mass produced everything in the mid to late 80s, right? Everything was too overproduced. We're paying inventory tax on all these cards. They have wax boxes from 86 to like 93. All right. And it's as high as like above my hip for about 40 feet down this galley of a store. You can buy, like, I got the 86 Tops wax box for like $6.
Wow.
All right. So they're trying to blow everything out and sell it all. And the depressing part was steroids had happened. Everything had happened in baseball at that point. And you were talking about what things weren't worth anymore. Like the 89 Donruss set is like Randy Johnson and Sammy Sosa, I think, cards. They weren't worth more than like 50 cents each by then, maybe $1. And it's like, I know during pandemic things got hot and heavy again, but at that time you could just give that stuff away. But again, I go back home and I get all my cards and I try to figure out what sets I need because I'm going to go back to Hartman's and buy all these and build the sets. My poor wife, we just got married. She's like, I didn't know this about you. And here I mean, we're talking in our 2-bedroom apartment. I've got like stacks of boxes everywhere. And she's like, what did I do? What did I do? So no, that's kind of my deal. I got, my oldest son's kind of into it a little bit. They're both kind of getting into football cards right now, which is kind of fun to watch. And I will say I'm glad you said you're there for the 12-year-old, Jake, because it's harder now with how much things cost, Honestly, man, I used to be able to go down and buy those baseball cards. I get 2 packs and still have a nickel left out of my dollar allowance, like, and I'm not saying it should be that cheap anymore, but for a young kid, it's tough to collect, I think, these days. So
It's very hard to advise anyone to open packs
Mhm.
and expect anything out of them.
Right.
If you're going in and you're okay, turning a $20 bill into pictures of baseball players,
Yes.
you're gonna have a blast. And that $20 used to get you a little bit further, you know, back when we were in the '90s opening packs.
Right.
I used to open a pack of cards, eat a slushie, chew on some gum, and have the cards blow off in the wind because we were playing baseball.
Right.
That was part of the deal, and you were there for that. Now it's when these kids open boxes of cards, it's changed in many ways because you can hit a $50 card out of this, out of the box of cards we're giving away. You can hit an Ellie De La Cruz that's worth $150. You can do that.
Yeah.
That really wasn't happening 30 years ago. That and even 10 years ago in 2015, there's the best example I can give is someone tried selling a Jalen Brunson rookie card 1 of 1. And he plays for the Knicks now, had a great year last year. But they were trying to sell his rookie card for $300.
Hmm.
That card just sell at auction for north of $75,000.
Wow.
And someone was trying to sell it for $300 6 years ago, 7 years ago. So it has changed a lot, and with that comes some calibration, and you know it 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 there's good and bad. And so what I'm looking to do is I'm looking to develop an area where people can come and enjoy the hobby part of it.
Yeah.
There's dollars to be made for everybody. There's trays to be made for everybody. I have to pay the rent. I gotta pay for the blue tape holding up my poster back here. There's things that gotta get done, but in the grand scheme of things, I want to be the place that people can come and hang out, spend 30 minutes, spend 2 hours, talk sports, flip through the cards, and have fun. And
Yeah,
that's
and the one thing an adult friend of mine and I have kind of come across is we still enjoy opening the packs, ripping the packs,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
you younger folk would say, right? But we still enjoy that. But at the end of the day, go on eBay and get your $39 Ellie instead of spending $80 to $100 trying to chase it, right?
that's just like your story you were sharing, Seth. Like, you went and opened however many packs you opened to get that one card.
Hmm.
You didn't get it, and so you just went and bought it. That really wasn't, the internet wasn't available in '87 for people to go on eBay, so there's a little bit more friction. So it is surprising to me in some ways that card prices can be as high as they are because they can be transacted so easily.
Yeah.
Um, but there's demand and there's supply, and it's really a fun way to develop and learn markets and
Yeah.
learn an area of business. And yeah.
Yeah, and we had several around town here in Columbus where it's like, even in 2005 or so, I'd be like, I don't want to go in there. They're upping the prices on just even a standard tops pack of cards. They're charging more than the guy down the street. So even then, you're trying to find a better deal. Now you throw in the card shops, plus you can actually do your own research online and find out. It's not just what a Beckett price guide says. It's basically even
What's
on
eBay
eBay,
saying? Yeah.
there's 16 of these on there. What's the best deal I can get? And that kind of thing. So that's pretty cool. But finding a card shop where you can go into, like you said, and talk to people and interact, that's really fun too. So I'm really excited to see you getting that off the ground.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like everyone, I got out of it, got back in it. But when I was younger, my dad was really into it, and my uncle was overseas in the early '90s. So at that time, if you were overseas, as a thank you, Topps did a set called Desert Shield, which was a really, really cool set. It had a special insignia logo of like a palm tree on the top corner. And my uncle brought a bunch of them back, and my dad gave me quite a bit of the set. There was one I can't find. I really wanted to show here. It really breaks my heart. It was Barry Bonds from that set. So it's in my house somewhere, but I do have a couple of them here. We have former Cincinnati Red Benito Santiago, known as Benny Santiago at this time.
I know that mustache.
1997 Reds legend that I always make fun of, Ruben Sierra. The Rhino, Ryan Sandberg. I like this card a lot, actually. Hold on. There we go. I'm figuring this out. And then who doesn't remember the legend Greg Briley, the other Mariners outfielder that was left-handed, right? But so I had those, and I have a Bond somewhere in my boxes. And then when Deion Sanders came to the Reds in the 90s, that's was kind of like a big opening for me because, like Jake said, everyone had an NFC team. I was a kid in the 90s who didn't know any better, so my NFC team was the Dallas Cowboys because they won a lot. And
they're on TV
all the time. That's it was the reason I became a Bulls fan as a kid. Not anymore, but it was because they won all the time and they were on TV all the time. Kentucky basketball, same thing. I grew out of that very, very quickly. Glad I did. But Deion was something where I tried to get my hands on as many of those as possible. I have more Deion Sanders Reds cards than I do any of his football cards. Funny enough. And then he started doing a few more things with Topps recently. I guess he got an MLB PA contract finally. And so he's been signing for Topps of late. So one of my favorite cards I have is my Topps 5-star Deion Sanders auto.
That is nice.
Yeah, I am for sure going to get that one graded. Actually, I might take it to your shop, Jake, to get it graded. And then basketball wise, so I got out of it for a little bit. And then like everyone in 2020, I heard about breaking, which for those who don't know what we're talking about, it's gambling. Let's just call it what it is. And I got into a team break, which is where you get into a break, for those who don't know what I'm talking about. And you get assigned a team. And if the breaker is the person ripping the packs, you get whatever team cards for that. So 2020 NBA hoops, I get the Charlotte Hornets. I'm feeling pretty good. In said break, a redemption card comes up, and it's the first time I learned about this. For those, again, to educate you, it's when you get a pack of cards and there's a white piece of paper in there that has a code you put in on Panini's website, and if/when that player decides to sign their autograph, you get that card. That card was LaMelo Ball, rookie auto. And I had some rumblings going out that people were saying he might not sign with Panini. He's been having some issues with them. I sold that sucker. And I'm glad I did because I got about $1,000 for it.
Good move.
Yeah. And from there, the gambling side of it, I understood. And I was like, and I done it a couple times, like WWE Prism. I've bought a lot of. I got a lot of Hulk Hogan autos that I sold for good amounts of money because I don't want anything Hulk Hogan in my house ever again. But still, for the longest time, anytime I'd go to like a thrift shop or a flea market or something, I was always looking for Griffey's, Dion's, and Penny Hardaway's. So those are my guys. And now on the baseball side of things, obviously Joey Votto. I have a lot of Joeys. I have some autos in here I'll show a little later. Some of my favorites. Ellie is obviously I got the Ellie bug, and like everyone in my age group who was a teenager in the 2000s, I have an extensive LeBron James rookie collection that I'm very proud of. And Jake, the other day you posted a bunch of Topps LeBron rookies, and I was very jealous. And I was like, if one of those guys just wants to sell one of those that you're sending into grading, I will happily take it off their hands.
Nice. Yeah, that's a classic. The LeBron rookie card it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's unstoppable. It's like and it's kind of the card in basketball now. So, I mean, Wemby's, yeah, but.
Question for you, Jake. He said you as a shop facilitate sending it off to be graded. Is that something you're doing?
I do that. I help you I'll review the card, make sure I don't see anything that's glaring that would, I'd advise you to maybe reconsider sending it and spending the money. Cause we're looking to get a gem mint 10. And then you can go, on down 9, 8, 7 on the grade. And at that point you're kind of losing money, you're losing time with the card. So I can help you do the review, I'll prep the card by wiping it down with the microfiber cloths that you use for glasses. Wipe those down. Then I'll get it in the sleeve, ship it, pay to have it come back, and then you come in and get to check out the grades you got.
That's cool.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's a fun part of the process. It's it prevents the cards from getting damaged a little bit better. The encapsulation is great. The authentication of cards is great. And then the grade is kind of the part that makes it a little bit more liquid. You're able
Mhm.
to comp the card a little bit easier, knowing that the card hasn't been chewed on or, put in the bicycle spokes and you just don't quite see it. There are examples of people covering stuff up with pricing stickers, and
Uh-huh. I've
and
seen that.
Yep.
it's a disaster when you get home and you inspect it a little bit more, and oh, there's a giant crease on the card, and that $20 you paid, it was really a $5 card at that point, and $2,000 card and goes down. So it just protects the value a little bit more, and I think the authentication is really important for the vintage cards. Just
Mhm.
Oh, for
so many
sure.
so many things can change the price, the market value, because price is relative, right? Like, I have some cars that are worth $1 that I wouldn't sell for 20,000 bucks, 10,000 bucks, and then there's other things where it's the LeBron James rookie card has a mass market where what the tens, the gem copies sell for,
Mhm.
down to the other grading options.
Yeah. I have a PSA membership. But this year it has kind of been like that guy who hasn't canceled his gym membership. It's just a donation.
Yeah.
So PSA really appreciates my business and hasn't graded anything for me yet this year. So probably gonna run that out at the end of the year because I'm
Yeah.
just gonna at this point it's just a magazine subscription for me is what it is right now. So
Be careful because they'll run that card again and you'll be in for the
I
second.
know. Yeah, I know. I haven't said anything in a year, but I need to. So a little bit more about the shop, and we'll get into. I've got some fun stories that we've had some subscribers who have submitted. When you kind of have situations, so you'll have people who buy hobby boxes or packs, or in Top's case, because they just want to get more money out of you, jumbos. Um,
Yeah.
do you often have people who just like rip in the shop, or is it a lot of just like they grab it and they go? And if you do have people rip in the shop, what's it like when they get that big hit?
So it's a ton of fun, and I incentivize people to open in the shop by offering free supplies, and getting to enjoy that experience with others is always a great part of it. Right now, I'm still trying to get distribution for hobby products. Tops doesn't actually look at your accounts for several months once you're open, and I got lucky at the National Sports Collectors Convention. It was up in Cleveland this year. It's in Chicago the next 3 years. I highly recommend. It's at the end of July. Checking it out. But I made a connection with the company. I do have wholesale products for retail football and basketball through Panini. And then I do get some tops, but that's a little bit, um, that's not as guaranteed. That comes up more on the
Sure.
release date. So when people rip here, it's an absolute blast. I've only opened one box of cards since I opened the shop 3.5 months ago. I opened it on my birthday. I like to say I opened it right here. It was a $250 box of cards. I got at the most $25 worth of cards out of it. Um, it was absolute mugging in the alley,
Been there.
and that comes with it, And so I knew that going in. The first of those, it was a Bowman Chrome 2024, and the first one of those that got open though here in the shop, the gentleman pulled Perdomo. He's a new prospect with the Padres, I believe.
Mhm.
And it was like the card that was on the marketing material. It was the number 1 of 50 gold card autograph, and it was a $700-800 card. Unfortunately, it took a couple weeks to get up to auction on the auction website. so he didn't get quite as much as I had, and we initially jumped up and celebrated about. But it was super cool, and that moment is fun, shared with friends. And I have in the shop, I'll buy 1994 Donruss hobby box and let people buy packs of those for $2 a pack, and get to live that over. Get to live that moment over again. So
That's awesome.
it's a lot of fun, and um, it's as a shop that does not have box distribution, like some of the other places you might visit and see. That makes me rely on the single market a little bit more when it comes to buy, sell, and trade of the individual cards. So, I had some super cool cards come in the shop today. I got to purchase those. I often buy, cards in bulk for like, numbered refractors, things of that nature that have a little bit of value. That's hard to unlock individually, one by one, by
Sure.
one person. But here at the shop, I need those cards. I want those cards in here for people to look through. So I can offer a little bit of cash, a little bit of in-store credit on those types of cards as well. So if you have a box full of cards laying around that you're not necessarily enjoying, um, I can help you turn that into a $50, $100 card of Ellie De La Cruz or Barry Larkin, or my man Jonathan India, who I'll definitely miss this year. And it's a part of the business that I have to excel at, and that's relying on people coming in the shop and giving them a good time.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, that's really really cool, and I know it's been neat to kind of, like I said, see as your product has grown and stuff, and we've definitely appreciated it. So I want to kind of get to I know Seth and I have showed a few things off so far, but kind of get to some PCs. And you said you had some that came in the shop recently. You wanted to show off that I'm
Yeah,
pretty excited
man.
for.
I with it being I'm closed next week between the holidays. And I kind of told myself I really wasn't going to buy anything this week and sit on it for a couple weeks, 3 weeks. But man, if there was one card that came in the shop I was going to buy without a doubt, it was this Todd Frazier, uh,
Oh,
1 of 1. It is from the All-Star game. You can kind of see the All-Star logo
yeah,
right there. Um,
a Beckett
it's
9.
super cool. I was at the home run derby, and it was one of the neatest things to get to be a part of. Like, you watch that home run derby, and to get to be, I was in left field. I was supposed to be up in the bleachers, but after years of experience, I got down into the lower bowl, the left field, and just missed a couple home run balls. And to get to be out there and see that was just special. And I've not kept any cards that have come in the shop. Um, and like I said, I've ripped the one box of cards for myself. But I think this one's going to stay on my PC, or enter my PC. It's just such an important moment. And that was one of the things I wanted to talk about sports cards, like the moments.
For sure.
Seth, you talked about the Eric Davis chase. Tim, you talked about LeBron James and the Deion Sanders card in the red uniform. It really, they're little pieces of art. They might be pictures of men with, their autographs on them, but they're connections,
For
and
sure.
that's what's really neat. So that card was beautiful. I could not believe it came in. It's one of the very top sports moments for me. It was so much fun. I sold the All-Star game tickets. I didn't even go to the All-Star game because
I was the opposite.
how is
Yeah.
that going to be topped? I don't need to go to that. And then the gentleman must have been a Todd Frazier super collector, because this was also one of the cards they brought in. This is also
Nice.
a 1 of 1. Topps does their 1 of 1s and call them super fractors.
Yep.
And this thing is absolutely beautiful. Um, One of the things about grading is there's Beckett, they were the big dog for a very long time. Unfortunately, they've had fallen on tough times. But this card is their version of a 10. It's called a Gem Mint. It's a 9.5. And when you do grading, there's the 4 subcategories up here: centering, surface, corners, and edges. So they do a nice thing of giving you the subgrades so you can kind of get an idea of what is wrong, what is right about the card. PSA does not offer that, unfortunately. People want the 10. They don't want a 9.5.
Nope.
The 9.5 on Beckett grading is their 10, but they also have a 10. And those are, it's just a little art to the whole thing. And kind of the last two real quick. These all came in today. Like I couldn't believe it.
Oh, dude, take as much time as you want.
The Jay Bruce, Drew Stubbs, and Todd Frazier.
Wow.
That's really cool.
Triple auto.
Drew's a friend of the network, so
Nice. It's so cool for that to come in. That Jay Bruce autograph is so
clean.
As someone with the initials JB, I've always appreciated what he's done there. I'm an admirer. And then this is from a random company. Just Miners is the name of the company. That probably wouldn't have been very good website to be looking up. Sorry. And then Johnny Bench autograph. And a piece of game worn pants. This is out of 2005 Donruss. And it's a Johnny Bench autograph. What they'll do in some instances is they'll sign stickers and then put them on top of the card. People will pay more for on-card autographs just because the athlete has handled them in some way, if it's just pinned to card or if they've actually picked the card up and handled it. So those were 4 cards that walked in today. I pay a little bit higher percentage for the local guys because I know I'm not going to sit on them as long. I can move them a little bit faster. I can pay a little bit better because of that. And then as the prices come down a little bit, percentage-wise, debate just depending on whether I'm going to have to hold the inventory for a little while. But I have incredible cards that come in all the time. Here's the last one. This was I put in my pocket before I left home. This is one of the very few cards that are still at the shop. Take it out of the case. I bought this over the summer. It's a Barry Larkin, and it's serial stamped 11 of 11.
Oh.
It's a number 11 card.
We call that an eBay 101, Jake.
Yeah, it's an eBay 101. And I hope to someday get that signed by Mr. Larkin himself.
That's really cool.
I picked this up this past year. Just such a cool card that I had to have, and it's a super fun hobby, and getting to be a part of other people's hobbies is the best, and providing a space to enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
And sorry, the last thing, the breaking aspect of it is like it's a total gamble. I don't participate in very many of them.
I quit doing it because that reason.
It is, and in the end, what would be great is if us 3 and 27 friends got into it, and we all had our own teams, and we all divvied up the costs based on the checklist from there. But it's become a way for people to charge $7,000 for $5,000 in inventory to give you the opportunity to buy the Reds spot and get all the Ellie De La Cruz cards. Because in the end, that would be great to pitch in, and I get my guys, you get yours, and we all roll from there. So it's something that down the road I plan to offer, but it's going to be a thing where like I want y'all to come into the shop and we kind of do it together. We all get a box and enjoy the benefits of buying a case together and getting that price down. So
yeah, I'm the same way. Thanks for showing those, man. That was really, really cool.
Yeah,
a lot.
Absolutely.
I want to show one of my favorites real quick that I have from my collection. So this is from 2007 Top Sterling. What's cool about Top Sterling is it's not like a regular pack. So they're really thick cards. Jake, I know you know this obviously. And what happens is when you get the box out, they're all in categories. So it'll be like National League Gold Glove winner or like 4-time All-Star, and you have no idea what's inside the box. So you open the paper box and see what's in there, and it comes, of course, in like a really thick case. So I did Top Sterling 2017, and I bought the spot for National League MVP.
Nice.
2 out of 5 Joey Votto 4-patch jersey auto. Like Jake mentioned, it is a sticker auto, but I don't care because it's Joey. So that's, and then I have this Topps Pristine Joey patch auto from 2023 that I really like a lot. It's a base rookie. I mean, it's a base auto, but one of my favorites as well. So Joey's I'm a big Joey collector. And so it's really cool to kind of get those. And then I also, from Pristine, I have a Larkin diamond auto with a little patch as well. So yeah, that Pristine's a really cool product. I think for me, it's right there with Topps Inception as my favorite every year. So you should guys, if that's one of you want to see some really nice looking cards and get some decent value, you could definitely look there.
I had a couple years ago, I got into Topps Now a little bit, and I wasn't even sure what I didn't get it completely.
Yeah,
there were some like different ones you could get parallels, and I got a Votto, and it's 3 out of 5.
Nice.
So I was really happy about that one. And then just recently, because of my Eric Davis affinity, I dove in. I got this one on eBay.
Yeah, you sent that one to me. That's really pretty.
And then because I love the 87 Topps, this one has his autograph. I forget what year.
Oh, and a 1-touch. Look at you, Seth.
What?
And a 1-touch at that. Very attractive.
Yeah, so that's from a Topps Archives a couple years ago, but it's got his autograph on it. And then I really enjoyed some of the different things they did with Topps. Like I got the Topps 100 green.
Yeah, I like that card a lot. It looks like a comic book cover.
Mm-hmm. So Jake, I was thinking about what you were saying about you might not get rid of that Todd Frazier, and that's what my wife says to me all the time because, like, even so I don't know if you know about Pop Fly, the comic book art, Pop Fly Pop Shop. A guy named Daniel Jacob Hareen. He does it, and he does it where he does a print run, and he does it for 1 week, and whoever buys him, that's how many prints he makes.
Mm-hmm.
And then so I've been into those for a few years now, but I've only bought the Reds basically, except for he did a Michael Jordan baseball one that's cool, and he did some football, and he did the Icky Shuffle. And I was looking at a few of them. I was like, man, that one would sell for this much. And my wife's like, yeah, but if you bought it, you wouldn't want to sell it. Because, like, I didn't know about it when he did his Eric Davis one. He did the Eric Davis one really early. And I turned down one for $500. Now, originally, he sold them for $25. There are only 38 made.
Yeah.
And so about a year and a half later, I was offered to buy one for $500. And I said, that's too much. They go for about $2,500 to $5,000 now. So. Yeah, I wish, but again, to my wife's point, I never would have pulled the trigger on reselling it. I mean, I guess
we call that the 2 rule. You buy 2, so you can sell one down the road.
That's right. That's right. Couple more, and then we'll move on to some stories. I got that one, the Project 70.
Yeah,
I love Project 70.
I like that one a lot. And then same thing, Project 70. I got the Votto.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, there was an Ichiro in Project 70 I wanted so bad. I don't talk about this a lot, but I will not accept any Ichiro slander on any of my podcasts. If you say anything bad, you will be kicked off the show. So
I don't know how you could say anything bad about the man.
No. Well, so the other thing, so the Pop Flies I was telling you about, Topps actually in some of these art deals when they were doing some of those, they actually put one out, and it actually. I think it was the Mickey Mantle one. They actually the artist used this guy's art.
Oh.
And so Daniel got upset about that a little bit, obviously, and he went and kind of talked to them, and they ended up giving him a run. So he did, he's a big Dale Murphy guy. He did a Dale Murphy, and he did an Ohtani one as well. I think that was it. But so he got to do some of the art on some of those Topps. So that was pretty cool.
That is really cool. Shall we get to our fan mail stories? Because we got some fun ones. We talked about breaking earlier. I want to make sure I give a shout out to our pal Chase Lenford. He sent in 2 stories, but earlier this summer, he hit a really limited LE rookie patch auto, and he said it paid for his trip to Universal Studios.
Nice.
I believe it.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Yeah, here it is. He's so it's from Series 1. It's a 6 out of 10.
Oh wow.
You can't really see the auto with the reflection of my camera, but I think this, top season 10 rookie auto. So you might see one of those in this giveaway that Jake's doing. But he also told a really fun story about he spent $21, and so he told a story here, and this is going to be not as fun, a little more painful. So he said, my dad was born in 1953. When I was a kid, I would hear about his boxes of baseball cards in my grandmother's basement in his old room, Mickey Mantles, Hank Aaron's, etc. We went over there once, and my dad wanted to get them out and show them to me. I must have been under 10. He died when I was 13. My grandmother says she threw them all away because they were in her way. Her basement was empty. There was nothing down there, not even a shelf in my dad's old room. They were all on a shelf in his old closet.
They were in her way.
Pain.
But that's why the overproduction of the late 80s and early 90s took place. Because everybody that was my parents' age had those stories. I've got a friend whose dad, his mom threw away his Mickey Mantle rookie card. And or some of them were putting them in the bike spokes, as we were talking about earlier. Like they made fewer back then, and then they didn't take care of them.
Yep. Whereas
I was told this will pay for your college or something else someday, and it's just a bunch of cardboard at some point.
Right. Yep. Yeah, that's 100% accurate. Good friend Mike Perry, he's been on the show a couple times. When I was a kid, my parents came up with a point system to reward my performance in baseball games. After each game, they'd drive me to the local memorabilia store where I could trade those points for packs of baseball cards, a ritual I loved. Back home, I'd meticulously sort the cards by team, then alphabetize each team's roster before carefully placing them into a collection binder. Totally normal behavior for a 9-year-old, right? Yes. This day and age, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Jake, you can test. How many times do you have a kid come in, it's like 10, 11 years old, they've got the briefcase where they have like a $10,000 card in there.
Yeah, it's you see it a lot at the card shows.
Yeah.
Like, these kids should have them handcuffed to their wrist because they're $10,000 briefcases.
Yeah, basically. They have like a Joe Burrow rookie patch auto sitting in there, and it's like, where did you get that?
Yep.
Yeah, my equivalent story is I had a binder, and inside that binder, my prized possession at the time, and this is 1988 or 89, was a 1975 Pete Rose Topps. And it was in the binder with all these other cards. And we had it at a restaurant. And, of course, the food comes, and Mom says, put the binder down, Seth. Mm-hmm. Put the binder down. We leave the binder at the restaurant. 15 minutes later, we come back. My dad goes in, hey, my son left his baseball cards. Oh, yeah, here you go. Somebody brought up the host stand. It's dark outside. We get home. It's not till that night or the next morning I opened up. Somebody took the Pete Rose.
Oh,
pain.
Yep.
That sucks, man. That is pain. I got 3 more. Of course, good friend Sydney Price. The first baseball card I ever got was a signed Joey Votto card for Christmas, and I've been hooked since. That's a nice first one.
I guess so.
It's weird that he has no market. And I understand he plays for the Reds, but if you go on eBay right now and you want to get like a Joey Votto autograph card out of 20, 25, it's like you could be like his Bowman first. You're probably paying $180 for it.
Yeah.
And it's like, this guy is a national treasure. He's an MVP. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. It's like, it's a bummer. Good pal Dwight Kelly. There's always a card in each collection that's the most valuable, even if it's not a high value. This is exactly what Jake and I were just talking about for the young kid who still has it at heart. But that may not be a person's favorite card. Mine for years has been the 1978 Topps Shiny Bench. He was my favorite player. It was my first bench card out of a pack even, and it looks great. Yes, I'm over 50 years old. The Machine Kids, my dad was a Machine Kid, so like that's pretty cool. Like my dad was like talked about, he had the Johnny Bench batter up where we'll like throw the ball in the air and you could swing at it, and that was always fun. And then I got one more. This was sent to us on Blue Sky from John Alski. He said, I buy a pack of baseball cards when I go to the store. I don't collect. I just like to see if I can get any Reds cards. I have a big box full of cards in my closet now. When my son is old enough and shows interest, the box is his. I relate to this so well because I have a 2-year-old daughter. Well, she's going to be 2 in a month. And obviously, too young, but now that the WNBA is having this big boom, I'm trying to track down all the Caitlin Clark and Sabrina Ionescu's and all that. I put basketball on with her all the time. She sits down and watches with me. She says basketball. She does right to keep my heart. So when the day comes that she's old enough and she cares, I have a couple Caitlin Clark rookies sitting there for her. I cannot wait for that day.
I had a coworker. He's actually one of my editors at the newspaper when I was a sports writer, and his son every year, this guy's brother would give his nephew. So this my coworker's son, he would give him the top set, and he did that every year. And then he passed away very prematurely, like 48 or 49 years old. And but Wes has all the sets from like probably 2002 or so on until his uncle passed. So that's kind of cool.
And that's just awesome, that being able to point where those came from is just, the provenance matters more than the cards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I wanted to do this because it was something Seth and I have been talking about for a long time. I wanted to do a show like this, and it went longer than we normally have of late, but it was a lot of fun. I had a blast, Jake. It was really cool hanging out with you. Not only, thanks for talking to us about just like collections and things like that, but talking to us about the shop and why it's so fun for you. It's been really, really cool. Again, before we get out of here, like I said, I know you're going to be closed for the holidays, but we'll make sure we shout out the shop if you want to tell everyone where it is, and I'll have a cool story about where it is as well.
Yeah, it's and don't forget about the giveaway over on Twitter, Liquid Cards 513. Just give me a follow and shoot a message on there. Definitely give the Riverfront page a follow. I'm sure you guys already are. I love listening to the programs that you guys put out there, and as a Reds fan who doesn't get to quite follow everything as closely as I used to, back when I was 8 years old writing this stuff down. It's great to get the recaps from y'all and be able to stay in tune with everything. So thanks for what y'all are doing. So yeah, you can find me. I'm in Sharonville. It's 2241 Crown Point Drive, Suite 800. I'm across the street from the Cracker Barrel. So feel free to slide through there and come over after you're done. There's an amazing arcade next door.
I was just about to talk about that.
Yeah, it's Arcade Legacy. It's a phenomenal place. When the lease opened up next to them, I leaped at it. I had no business plan. I had no money saved, but I knew I wanted to get back into retail and jumped at it because the location was important, being right off the highway. And it's I'm in an old Subway restaurant, and so if you wonder why you walk in and you're hungry, it's the ghost of Meatballs Past. But it's an absolute blast. I'm just getting this started. I began as a picture frame shop. I had a shop for 4 years, and over the Rhine, absolutely loved picture framing. And I literally never knew why I chose picture framing, why I was drawn to it, and I think it kind of goes back to the sports cards things. I like the memories, and the moments, and people would bring frame stuff, and it was priceless to them, and you got to be a part of that process. So tried to do framing up here in Sharonville. It did not work. 6 months of pain and not growing the business as I had hoped. I had sports cards in the front from setting up as a card shop or card shows throughout the city, and the cards kind of kept people coming in. And I decided over the summer to make the switch, open up the card shop. First day was August 30th, so the first full month in September. It's went well. I've met a ton of great people. I hope you gentlemen, Seth, Tim, can get to come in.
We'd love to.
and please, if you're hearing this, come in and say hey, and mention the show, and I'll have a Joey Votto card waiting for you.
That's awesome. Yeah. So what I was going to mention, to Jake mentioned it, Arcade Legacy is right next door to him. And literally, if you just want to have the ultimate nostalgic couple hours, that is the strip mall for you, because you can go to Arcade Legacy and they have everything. I mean, from the original Ninja Turtles cabinet to Crazy Taxi to WWF Wrestle Fest to RBI Baseball, they have it. They also have a section where you can buy old games like Nintendo, Sega, things like that. You go to Jake's shop and look at some sports cards as well. So it's a lot of fun. I know I can't not wait to check the shop out. I'm really looking forward to it. Jake, thanks again, man. This is really awesome. But we're going to go ahead and close up shop. Like Jake said, follow him at Liquid Cards 513. If you're watching on YouTube, the account is right there. Tell him the Riverfront sent you for a chance to win that blaster box and your chance at an Ellie De La Cruz rookie card. But thank you all so much for the year. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a great 2024. We're excited to get ready for 2025. Have a great holiday season. On behalf of Seth Shaner, this is Tim Daniel. Everyone have a good night, and we'll see you next year.
Thanks, y'all.